Good evening, viewers. Welcome to another session of Mazungumzo. This is your host, Dr. Gilbert Githere, coming to your homes with another session of Hegel and the subject of others. But we are going to go into details now, taking a paragraph from Hegel's Phenomenology of Spirit and looking at it, how he goes into details. Like in this piece, you can see there's the element of like now, because life is made of, there, here, now, I, and now is a very important word. It's universal. So as a human being, you will always have now. The Chinese have now, the Kikuyus have now, the Nyosas have now, the Igbos have now, the Germans have now. So it gives you the sense of time. And you can see this, I have said, without time, you can't conceptualize now. So there is also another aspect that you can never have knowledge if you don't have objects, the environment around you. And also knowledge, as we said earlier, is a concept of language. So you can see how these things are tied to the previous lectures. I have said that every nation and every people, even the indigenous people, they have language. And for that matter, it is quite easy to say that they must have a possibility of acquiring knowledge about their environment. For example, irrigation. Even as old as the pharaohs of Egypt, Herodotus kind of comments the way Egyptians were very knowledgeable about irrigation. And that's way back in the millennium. But we see that they had very, very comprehensive irrigation systems. Now, for example, you can say now, the word now. For example, if it is night, that's the now. It's night, now. But funny enough, because of time, night is negated by day. And day becomes the now that you're talking about. This is how deep Hegel went into analyzing consciousness. He started way out. And also you should look at Hegel when he's actually writing in the 19th century. He is also writing about the German nation is coming to enlightenment. People are starting to take science seriously. And the ways of the past, the Greek mythologies where the gods came down, Deus ex machina, the gods came down to participate in wars with the human beings. That concept is dying out. And the industrial age is coming up in. And for example, science is starting to take over. And the Frege comes later and explains how science has to take over from just normal analysis of language. Words have got to be replaced by formulas. But that's another story. We are now just looking at Hegel in his opening remarks about consciousness. And you can see as night is negated by day, the now that was there is actually replaced by the now of the day. The second now becomes the truth of the day. It takes over. And that's very, very interesting concept. Very interesting concept. Now, as you can see, we can read through this document and you will see that there is really, really deep thinking which is in this paragraph over here. In thus pointing out the now, we see then merely a process which takes the following course. First, I point out the now, and it is asserted to be the truth. I point it out, however, as something that has been, or something cancelled and done away with. I thus annul and pass beyond that first truth, and in the second place, I now assert the second truth, that it has been, that it is superseded. But thirdly, what has been is not. I then supersede, cancel its having been, the facts of its being annulled. The second truth negate thereby the negation of the now, and return in so doing to the first position, that is now, is. So you can see just that statement is the one I have tried to kind of play about with in the upper section. That in dialectics, the now that was number one is negated by the now of the day that comes later. There's negation. The first one is negated by the second one. The second one becomes the dominant. And this is how knowledge is acquired. Sense and certainty. Because sense and certainty and language, let's say you have sense of smell, sense of sight, sense of hearing, sense of talking, sense of thinking, and sense of hearing. So all these senses are the ones which make you knowing the object or objects certain. It tells you, you know that. Because you cannot touch a stone, feel its rigidity and coarseness, then you know that's a stone. Let us just think about that and look at this paragraph that we have in front of us. Thank you. This is your host, Gilbert Githere, saying ciao ciao.